This is the Lydia and Spin with Lydia Lunch and Tim Dahl. And one day past his, or 2 days past his birthday, saw him in Slato.
Oh
He
yes.
celebrated in Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm feeling it a little bit. I've been in a different city every day since September 3rd. So sometimes I went back to the same cities, but even like when I was in Tampa, we went back to Orlando. But I always had to change cities every day since I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? But Atlanta was dynamic, and we were just talking about it. So his birthday, we ended up at Claremont Lounge, at which point at the end of the night there was a OD, I think, and the person was taken away in a stretcher. It was very besides the dancing and all the entertainment, it was dynamic in other ways as well. You know, as dynamic
Well,
as it can get.
all right. Well, Retrovirus did 4 shows in Florida.
Three shows in Florida,
And
three shows in Florida, one in Atlanta.
yeah, and two were fantastic. Miami, the ground, great sound, great lights, great people that work there. Orlando, my good friend James Faherty, rock and roll hero, who still has another year extension of his exhibition of Figure House and all these many concerts he's produced, posters of it at the Regional History Museum, extended for another year, who's been supporting my cause for many decades. Also, Shani Ray was involved with that, also supporting my cause. And then there was a bit of a shit show in both Tampa. We're not even going into that because that place should just be closed down due
Yeah.
to
Well,
eco problems.
the crowd was
And
fine. The crowd was fine, but
crowd was wonderful, and
the
the
establishment, yeah.
outside was great.
Well, the Wawa
And
across the street was really a big show in itself, but that's a whole other conversation.
and Atlanta, well, I mean, it got off to a rocky start, but it came out in the end, and plus we were celebrating Simon's birthday,
Which was fun to have him come down, and also Rima was
and
there.
we're
My older brother was there. You know, there's
oh great, always great to see Ben. Obviously, for me, he was wearing a very cool shirt with skulls and flowers
yeah,
on it.
that's part of his shtick. The things he was into thrift store chic when he was like 13. I mean, he kind of like
Well,
and
he's got the button down Hawaiian shirt thing to a pass.
yeah. I mean, it's not a generic. It's eccentric, of course. Um, let's see in terms of the
Well,
news.
I'm very happy for one reason, and finally,
Yes.
I think this is good news for me because it's something I've been promoting for decades.
What's that?
Of course, I promoted the whole country calling in a strike, but I just read that there's been 312 strikes this year. 453,000 workers have gone on strike. Of course, the latest one is Kaiser Permanente. I mean, any hospital or insurance company, they're such major crooks. CEOs making 400 times. I mean, the workers who work in hospitals, they want a minimum wage of $21, $23. This is still poverty level. We have the writers' strike. We have the auto worker strike. Other ones where, like, corporate tax fraud, and then CEOs again making 400 times.
This was predicted, and it was a silver lining with the pandemic, where people kind of sat back and reflected on just their time, which is the greatest commodity of all, um, was being eroded for what reason? And so people came back after reflecting, going, well, if you want us, especially with a labor shortage, if you want us to work, then why don't you give us something humane? I mean, barely humane. I mean the hospital workers. Um,
It's an outrage
I
what
mean, I
they're
mean,
paying.
I mean, they're paying basically what somebody at McDonald's or Burger King is making, and at least there you're just serving food. Hospitals, you're around infectious disease. You're around. You're actually really putting yourself in danger.
You're working
Uh,
for one of the largest criminal enterprises, and there are many of them in America, where they might charge you $400 to get a band-aid put on.
I know. I know. Oh
So
boy.
anyway, I'm excited about all the strikes. I mean, I've been on a work strike 9 to 5 my whole life, but you know what I say? We work 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. for ourselves. At least we work for ourselves.
Well, speaking of hospitals, that tragedy about that young guy Ryan Carson over the weekend, 32, stabbed to death in Bed-Stuy, just waiting for a bus. I don't know if you saw that. The video footage is horrific, actually. He was just he and his girlfriend had just come back from a wedding,
Oh,
and they're just waiting for the bus at the end of the night, and there's kind of maybe a little tipsy and jovial, and just some psycho random was throwing one of these like kind of like street temper tantrums, like smashing stuff and screaming and punching the air kind of deal. And then he turns to them. He's like, "What the fuck are you looking at?" He's like, "Hey,
oh,
nothing." And then basically just charged him. The guy was trying to defend his girlfriend and get between. And when he moved backwards, he tripped over
oh.
the bus stool, fell to the ground, at which point the guy just like stabbed him to death in the heart. And yeah,
I mean,
wrong place, wrong time. Yikes.
I just
It's
had
brutal.
another one of my $1 million ideas, which I don't get a penny for. I'm just thinking, the same way that they have bear spray, they have
Yep.
pepper spray.
Yep.
It would be great if they had crazy spray that you just sprayed
Ah,
somebody and suddenly it was like ecstasy, and they suddenly were like, instead of being a fucking killer, they turn into a laughing ass clown and just trot off down
well,
the
everyone would
next.
get high off that. Everyone would
I'm
get
gonna look
high off of
into
that
it.
shit. Everyone
I'm
would get
gonna
high
look
off.
into that.
So
Clown spray.
the bed bug situation in Paris right now
Oh,
is
yep.
insane, and it was during Fashion Week, and all these people because the thing about bed bugs is, they could be in the Ritz Carlton or they could be in Motel 6. It's not like they discriminate. You can clean the place like crazy. It doesn't matter if they're fucking there.
Well,
They're
and
there.
the first that I heard of it years ago, when really, I mean, this is now maybe 8 or so years ago, that it really another uprise was on Italian and French trains
So right now in France, in Paris, it's on the subways. Yeah, they're in the
at
movie
the
theaters,
airport.
everywhere. And it was Fashion Week, so you have all these people wearing these kind of backless, kind of lots of skin showing, expensive gowns, and they have just sores all over their bodies. So like, so really, the bed bugs really bitch slap Fashion Week quite a bit. Now it was so embarrassing, and people are furious. And of course, now New York's worried about all these people coming back
Yeah,
from
well, which
Paris,
is why
and
I mean, I always pull out my flashlight, peel back the bed, check for bed bugs. I mean, but they can be anywhere, and there could be one, and you can pick them up. I also keep my suitcase in the bathroom on the tile floor. Nobody wants to keep it on the rug. But you do got to check the seams. And also, they do have a smell. They do smell kind of sickly sweet. So, I mean, you got to be so ridiculous. I mean, countries like India and Pakistan, they never got rid of them anyway. I mean, we got rid of them originally by using like DDT, and that's been banned. Might just have to come back for the bed bugs. I mean, why not kill the person as well as the bed bug?
um, yeah. Well, the thing is, Paris also has the Olympics in 10 months. So if they don't get this shit together, that
That's
is a
worldwide.
total disaster.
Well, as I like to say, aliens are not what you see in the sky. They're what's crawling all over your body that you might not be able to see. And inside, yeah,
Oh my god.
it's,
Uh,
it's horrible.
Malin Tribble, whatever, this woman was raising money for cystic fibrosis, and she decided to do a paddleboard, an 80-mile paddleboard journey from one of the further. I don't know what the fuck's going on in my neighborhood right now. Probably nothing.
Well, funny. So
All the
guys,
sirens.
I got the trundler going upstairs in my apartment, stomping away as if he's like stomping roaches, which I haven't seen any in my building, but he might have them in his apartment. Go
Maybe he
ahead.
does. So she was doing this fundraiser, paddling 80 miles from like furthest western point of Bahamas to some furthest eastern point of
Oh no,
Florida.
tropical
Which
storm.
I would no. She started getting tracked by a giant shark that kept on kind of. It never went like to Chomp Town. It just kind of was investigating, but it was butting her board, and she stayed upright and made it. But it was a little scary. Her husband was
Wow.
checking it out, but she made it. She made it.
I have a lemonade stand. Oh, you might get shut down. I forgot you need to
All
go to
right,
work.
that too. I don't know. What else is in the news?
I haven't really had a chance to follow it because there's been so much drama around everyone I know that I'm not going into, that
Right,
I'm quite frankly sick of.
right.
And but I think there's some kind of planetary psychosis happening right now, and
Seems to be the
I plan
case.
to shake it off pretty shortly. I'm heading to the yeah, right, the non-dramatic West Coast.
Oh boy.
Right,
Oh
I'm
boy.
feeling fine.
Good. Good. Well, it's always good to know that you are.
It's good to know you, Tim Dahl. That's all I know. And it was a great time in Miami with our next guest, a little Annie Anxiety, who I've known for many years, but have over the years seen her here, there, and the other where. And that was great to be at her pad, which overlooked Biscayne Bay, where she dolphin watches, and to just reminisce about some things, most of which I did not remember, but she seems to have a better memory than I do. So that's where we are today. We're with the Lydian Spin, episode 221, 222. I don't even know. It's been so freaking many. But with little Annie Anxiety, radical poet and chanteuse. This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch and Tim Dahl, episode 221. We're here in Miami with a very dear friend of mine, Annie Anxiety, little Annie, Andy Ben. Oh, she's got many monikers and she's done many things. So very happy to be here. I'm sitting with her in her Miami pad overlooking, what are we overlooking?
Biscayne Bay.
It's wonderful.
Classic. Yeah.
And actually, Barry Gibb lives. I waved to him, and I said, Julio Inglés lives across the bay. They get to look at us.
I'll tell you more about Barry Gibb after we get off of this anyway. So Annie, you remember, but I don't, that we met when you were dancing at the Wild West Saloon.
Exactly.
And I was offering services under the table just to get Teenage Jesus to Europe.
It was. I actually could visualize what the place looked like, and you were and are so kind, and especially that scene at the time in New York, coming from Yonkers, which was only 20 minutes away. May as well come from fucking
Bars.
Alabama, and it was. I remember some guy saying to me, "Do you only have one dress?"
Yeah, maybe.
Actually, I only had one dress,
But it was a good dress.
It was a good dress, and you were just wonderful. And I remember being at your place. I think it was in Soho with Klaus Nomi.
I never lived in Soho. That might have been Beth
Somebody
B's
else's house.
place. Beth B lived. Beth B, who, by the way, if we're going back to Beth B and meeting at her place in Soho, that's one of the latest things you've done. Is a play with Beth B producing in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, again, the connective tissue of the Lydian Spin goes on and on.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The two of you were hanging together with Klaus Nomi. That's what you just said.
Yeah. When I knew him, look, everybody always says that they're a singer, and there's two singers that blown me away in my life, Klaus and Noni. I'm a singer. Everybody's a singer, and then you get them like fuck. But Klaus, he was a baker, and I love
I know that.
One.
Very good when he used to bring cakes to
Professional.
the Chelsea.
Where were you living at that time, Annie? We're talking 77, 78?
Yeah, the first place I lived was right across from the Chelsea. And then
And again, what year?
oh gosh, it would have been 77.
And that's the year that I went right to Mother's across the street from the Chelsea, off the Greyhound bus, picked up somebody and moved into their loft. There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know all of this from our back history so connected.
Yeah, and the Chelsea, that was a trip. I ended up there because Sizzle, who at the time was like turning tricks in drag over on 8th Avenue, and come back with like $7. $7.40. It was always
Which might have been $15 now,
Yeah.
But still, that ain't no way to pay the rent.
But I soon, because I'm from Yonkers and didn't know that she was gay, I mean, soon she was gay and was trying to crawl bread with me every night. So one night, threw everything onto 23rd Street, and that's how I ended up in the Chelsea, because it was right there.
And how long were you in the Chelsea for?
I was in Chelsea on and off for quite a while. I mean,
It's amazing.
yeah, because the Stanley Bard who used to run it hated me. He hated my voice.
Hated you, but you're in.
But I was in, and he would try to get me out, and I get back in because the clerks all liked me. So
wow, I
Yeah,
mean,
sometimes.
now
Hilarious.
I was recently at the Chelsea, which has been renovated. They actually did a very beautiful job. Documentaries on the Chelsea, but I was there having a conversation with Bibby Hansen,
Oh,
And Bibby said her probation officer, when she was a 14-year-old reform school girl, was right across the street. I'm like, well, the first place I landed the second time I ran away was right across the street. But then I also heard a ghost fart in the Chelsea bathroom.
You were
Hello,
telling that
it's
story last night.
I'm like, I went into the bathroom and I hear, I looked, nobody. A Chelsea ghost fart.
that sounds like the Chelsea. It really does. I mean, I didn't know. Like I met Stanley Gould. Do you remember Stanley Gould? We from like the Carolina, and all these guys. I'm like, and they give you some speed or something, and I'm like, yeah, you're famous. Get the fuck out of here. You know, I never heard it. I never read.
So you're in the Chelsea Hotel. Were your first performances in New York?
Yeah, my first one ever was in Max's Kansas City,
Which is where a lot of us got, if not our first gig, our second gig. So, and what group was that with? What we call them, and what was the sound?
The very first show was The Lost Souls, which was terrible. We were terrible, and that's when I got really stage fright. I like sick stage fright. Was that show, and we were opening for the Blessed, Howie
Pyro, yeah.
And I didn't know what opening meant. I'm go, sure, I'll do that. I go, what? I got to perform. I didn't know what.
Well, what did you think you were gonna do?
And it was just the first, and these were biker guys from the Bronx.
Who was biker?
The band, and God love it.
So, what kind of stuff were you trying to do here? Was this like Blue Oyster Cult? Was it
no? I don't know. No, we threw it together so fast, and it was just terrible. And Otis on guitar, and he used to take a lot of Tuinol and pass out.
Well, by the way, and that's a word I haven't heard in a while, but I have to say the Tuinols, the Plazadils, the Secondols. Yes. Oh man,
14th Street.
I'd go to Times Square, but I hear you. Anyway, so all right, the first thing was a flop, but it didn't discourage you.
No. Then I got together because the student teachers, David Sharf and them, and we're also on the bill, and then we pulled the band together.
And Bill is it? Remember Bill? What was his name? He now runs the Houston Museum of Modern Art.
Bill Harding.
Right, he was in the student teachers. They'd play around, and now he's running the Houston Museum of Modern Art. And we're in Miami on the Biscayne.
No, and then we changed the name to the Asexuals.
And was that with who was in that band? Was that with
Howie? It would vary, but it was always Howie and David Sharf and my friend Sheeta was her New York name, and then we had Alan Vega play with us, or Ty Sticks, and all kinds of people. We just I call mood. It was very conceptual thinking about it. Now I didn't know the word conceptual.
Right. And what was the style of that music?
But that was.
Was that punky?
No, I guess it was more atonal. Okay. Like no way, but jazzy. But
so it's kind of where your kind of more jazz or chanteuse origin was starting to take flower.
I really didn't know what I was doing. I mean, honestly,
who did?
But I thought you did at the time.
Well, of course. Well, honey, I knew what I was doing, but that's just me.
It was
no need to laugh, Tim. It's the fucking truth. You weren't even born yet.
I enjoyed it.
I was like, no, you were like, wow. One day I'm gonna be, But no,
I was going to be more irritating than I was the day before.
No, we just throw stuff together, and somebody tried to record us once, but it's a nice studio. I think it was like the guy with Visconti or something. And
Tony Visconti?
It was a really nice studio. And they go, okay, maybe it wasn't Tony Visconti, but it was a nice place. In the town. And they go, okay, we did one take, and they go, do it again. And we go, we don't know.
We don't know what we just did.
How do we do it again?
When did you decide to go to London and pursue that?
Okay, that's an interesting story. I was dancing, trying to save up money to go to London. So I saw cabaret, like everybody did, And what happened?
You saw Cabaret Voltaire?
No. The
show cabaret. You saw the movie Cabaret.
And what happened was, I was going through a dancing job. It was insane, the story. It's very long. Basically, this cop rolled up on me and said, where's your ticket? And
to where? Where's your ticket?
I was going, I think it was like upstate New York.
Okay.
And Grand Central Station. And I had heard about like girls, like dancers getting raped. So I go, look, my train's coming in 7 minutes. She goes, come with me. I go, I haven't done anything.
Female cop?
Yeah, That's happened too.
Yeah.
And
Come with me.
it trying to like lead me into a like
Oh no.
dark a room with blackened windows with bars on the window, and had been hurt already. So
At Grand Central.
so I started screaming rape, which was really smart at the top of my lungs. And a crowd gathered. There happened to be a kid I went to Sunday school with in Yonkers was there. You know, he had a real job. He was a grown up, and anyway, I had to wait for a year for this court case to go through.
For doing what? Being at Grand Central, waiting to go upstate?
Yeah, and that's when I realized, like,
get the fuck out.
Life ain't fair. Like, it doesn't matter if you're innocent, guilty. It was
But when you're weird, you might be a target.
you're weird, yeah. And
but
in that time, I met Steve from Crass on my doorstep.
Where'd you meet Crass?
On my doorstep, about 4 a.m.
On your doorstep?
Yeah, on 5th Street. And it was so
Fifth Street
hot
between what and what?
5th between 2nd and 3rd.
Hello, we were all around there.
Yeah.
Can I add something?
Go ahead.
Crass came to America in 1978.
That's when I met them.
And do you know Dave King?
I love Dave King. God
There you
rest him. I love that joy with his
No
soul.
wave trivia.
Wait, Weasel. How long did they? What did they come to the U.S.? Where did they
were
play?
doing a show. I think it was Center Iberico.
He jumps in and he goes away.
Yep. And
Where else
Crass-
did they play?
Crass played with the Contortions.
that's
by the way.
right. And they beat him up. There was that fight.
Wait. Who beat who up?
Crash beat up.
James. He deserved it, I'm sure.
It was.
Well,
yeah,
how
it was
many
very-
shows did they come to do?
I think
Weasel,
we
do you
did
know?
like 2 shows or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave King was in a band called Arsenal.
That's right. That's right.
So they came to New York, and wait, then one guy ends up on your doorstep at 4 a.m.
Yeah, Steve the singer, and he caged a cigarette, and then he came back because you know how it was. Nobody looked like us, you know.
Only
so-
us look like us.
So he came by. I gave him a cigarette, then he came back again, and he was talking about where he lived, but I got confused because I thought it was where he was born. So it sounded like a housing project.
Right.
And
What was he? Did they live in Brixton?
no,
That is a
no,
housing
they
project.
lived in like Essex on a farm.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. So anyway, I waited a year to get rid of this charge. I also got one of those like Binder, shyster lawyers because the cop didn't show up after all this thing.
Right. Oh god.
And my father got arrested trying to get me out. It was a mess. It was a fucking mess.
Annie.
And
Annie disaster at the time.
it gets wilder.
Worse.
because what happened was I was at CBGB's the night before I got a letter from Steve, which is about a year later.
What were you
And-
at CBGB's for? You remember? Oh, we were there every night. Who knows?
Every night.
Every night. Every night.
Every
Every
night.
night. Every
not going out.
And again, I asked everybody who was around at that time when we were young. We never got carded for anything.
No, nobody.
No,
we were singing there underage.
We were all.
Yeah,
They wanted us. We were underage. Yeah. Who were some of your favorite bands of that period in New York at CBGB's or Max's?
Gosh, well, Suicide, of course.
My first friends.
Suicide was the reason.
Absolutely.
That's how
Come
I
on.
ended up like doing what I do. I thought,
Right.
wow.
Yeah.
And
no.
it was like church, and
Did you see them at Max's?
yes,
That's where I saw them the first time.
Yes.
Exactly.
incredible. I'm trying to think. Well, the other bands at the time I go see you when you play.
All 10 minutes of me.
Yeah, no, and it was quick, which always
In and out.
less is more in everything.
One of my first songs was called Less is More.
Less is more. Oh gosh,
Richard Hell and the Boydoids.
I love
Oh,
Richard Hell.
I mean, the
still-
first
that
shows
song
were
with
amazing.
Shadow
Oh,
is one of the most beautiful songs ever. I
I love the
Richard.
first album. Yeah, Robert Klein, my hero.
I mean, I was thinking.
Did you ever
about-
see Manster?
I think-
Nobody's ever.
I
Yeah.
think I did. I saw.
Remember that 6'5" drummer, singer stood behind the drummer, like Songs of Basement Torture. I'm obsessed with Manster ever since the day, and there's no info on them anywhere.
There was so much, and it was all kind. And the thing was, what I loved about it was show business. Oh, there's
Kevin.
our.
It was showbiz.
It was show.
We're
business.
show
No,
focused,
but
what we
it
do.
was- It was showy, like it wasn't.
No, I took.
It wasn't that kind of like interior. I'm looking at my feet. No, it was showy. And it was, I loved anything with Johnny Thunders. you
Yeah,
know.
of course.
I stopped bragging about sharing works with Johnny
Oh,
after
my-
the whole AIDS thing. Came through.
Well,
know.
you kind of have a look of a Johnny Thunders at some point.
Johnny. No,
Oh,
we
you're so
share
cute.
we
Oh, my
share
God.
works and I think he took my volume. But apart from that, but he was always sweet. You know, he
Yeah.
was another one. He was cool. No, there was so much going on at the time. But-
So, all right, back to like,
Yeah,
yeah,
CBGB.
Crass is on your
Well,
doorstep.
first what happened was I was at CBGB's and somebody, do you remember there was a after hours club on 9th Street or something where you walk down the stairs?
Was it called the Internet? Was it the International,
Yeah,
the old
something like
Scuzzy, old
You're
man's
Scuzzy.
bar?
And-
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this guy said, I'll give you a ride.
What, from 5 blocks
For
away?
5 blocks. And
Is it Ted Bundy?
yeah, almost. And when I walked in, and it was full of certain bikers, whose names I won't say, who have a place on 3rd Street.
Oh, yeah.
And they go, the guy you walked in with is a narc. If you're a narc, we're going to kill you. But no, we're going to give you the best coke you've ever had in your life.
So you got 2 choices: live,
Well,
live and do the best
yeah,
coke,
yeah.
or die because you're with a narc.
Yeah, but yeah. I did
Who the
best.
fuck was the
I
narc?
don't know.
Tell
I
me
don't know if it
whatever.
really
He
was.
said, thank
But
you.
the guy kind of like was loving on me, you know, like respectful. And he had all these things on his arms. I go, what's that? After we did the best blow and had some whiskey. And he goes, it's chicken. I go, what's chicken? And he said about you put the cigarette, you know, between your arms. And he said, I went the longest a woman ever went. I was like,
Wait, say what? I what?
Where you put the cigarette, a lit
Right,
cigarette.
all right.
And I saw the scar. It's like
Right.
something, how many thousand years old? And
It's a game of chicken with a lit cigarette.
yeah, and we went for breakfast, and that's when I realized they all with the cops because everybody's nodding. It was like being with a mob, and they walked me home, and I thought, and there was a letter from Steve from Crass. I go, I gotta get the fuck out of Dodge.
Honey, true to
Gotta
be
get
that.
out of
So
Dodge.
what year was that?
That would be probably 78. Like later.
Weasel, any idea what year I took Teenage Jesus to the UK?
1979.
79.
The first time was 78. You did 2 European tours, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and again, our extracurricular activities were all that could support to get us out of the country.
Absolutely.
And I
No,
remember the first time
absolutely.
going and trying to get into the UK, and we're like, you have to pretend you're not playing. They're like, well, why do you have your instruments? Because we're afraid they're going to get stolen.
Good. I'm gonna use
Teenage
that.
Jesus played with Generation X, one of the shows.
Oh, wow.
He was so cute, but Billy Idol is not my
No,
thing.
I remember we went to see it was out in Vegas solo thing with Nick Cave.
Where was that?
That was in London.
With who?
I went with you and Nick Cave.
No way. Oh, wow.
That was a
No
long
memory.
time ago. 'Cause I was still
No.
living in Essex.
So you went and you moved to the Crass farm.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they wanted me to move.
But you
then,
had no
I'm like,
choice.
you know,
I'm coming.
a puppy's not just for Christmas, you know. and it was
This
great.
little puppy ain't just for Christmas.
Christmas
No,
at all.
not just for Christmas. How long did you stay there? And then what went on? So you're there and you're like, all right, we got to do some work.
What happened? I was writing poetry, and Penny, the drummer, had seen a poem, and they turned it into a song, and it was there I started reading because I left school at 14. I stopped going.
And
And it
me
was-
at 15,
Yeah,
exactly.
so
That's why.
That's right.
That's why we were together again at last.
And there was no TV. There was you
Yeah.
couldn't do drugs. So I there's a whole lot of books. I started, and the first book I read was The Last Sex of Brooklyn.
First book, Last Section to Brooklyn.
which
And
spooked me.
again, that we found those. I mean, I found it when I was a few years younger. I don't even know how I found that book because my parents didn't have books in their house. But that is something that will, when you're like us and like-minded, set you on the path.
No, absolutely.
Set you
because
on
you
the
could get it, and you could feel, and so painful. I mean, it was
Right.
still so painful, but it did. And then I started, well, I'm going to just keep reading.
Yeah.
Reading.
So, what was the first stuff you did with Crass? What kind of sound did that have? And were you doing poetry over their stuff, or what happened?
Well, Penn again, the drummer, he started making backing tracks, which we cut cassette tape loops.
Right, that's how it
And-
happened then.
And I inadvertently became avant-garde before I could even fucking say it. And they wanted to kind of stretch the boundaries and
Right,
stuff.
yeah.
So they put me on.
And they were very political as
Yeah,
well.
very,
And again, I mean, England in that time,
Mhm.
under the auspice of just authoritarianism, and America under that time, especially New York under the fuck you drop dead New York.
Mhm.
I mean, and the poverty that we all suffered. I mean, it
Yes.
made people. You had to be. You
Mhm.
eventually had to become political.
Mhm.
You couldn't avoid it.
No, you couldn't be. It was absolutely in your face.
Right. And the
daily,
injustice was fucking prevalent.
and it's in a way I'm grateful because it's helping me up for what's going on now, because it's the same. It's worse. It's
Honey,
that
one of my
Reaganomics.
mantras, same as it ever was.
Yep.
Same as it ever was.
Truly, but kind of worse, I think.
Well,
worse.
it's worse because we should know better.
We should know better.
I mean, it's 2023.
Mhm.
And it's like 1950 whatever all over again,
Yep.
or 43 or
Mhm.
whatever. I mean, or the
Yeah,
Middle
or
Ages.
33. Yeah, kind of.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like before the Great Depression, the class divide is insane.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah. So okay, so what's the first stuff that you started doing cut up,
Yeah, and
cassette cut ups, which
Yeah.
is what there was. This is before sampling.
Yeah.
This is what happened.
they
The same like Thurwell. I mean, Fetus. He
that's
was
right.
doing absolutely adventurous cut ups. It wasn't really done before.
Clocks and everything we had.
Whatever.
But they put me on for years before their gigs. Which
What, doing poetry before the
well,
gigs?
yeah, but doing with these cut up things, and I get you yank whore, you septic tank. I had to look one
You
time.
septic tank.
Yeah, which is yank, a Cockney rhyming slang for tank, for yank. But then one time we were in Scotland. We go, let's get that little wog, and I go, what's a wog?
Oh my
And
God.
I go, oh, it's me. So
I'm the wog.
yeah, and
Well,
it-
wait, because wog is a derogative term
yeah,
for anyone who's
anybody's
not
yeah,
white.
yeah.
But what is your heritage though?
That's a good question.
Do you know?
No,
Mongrel like the rest of us?
mongrel, pretty mongrel, and I did a DNA thing,
Yeah.
which my parents were. They're in heaven. They were totally against.
Of course.
My mother wanted me to have it, and
What's
it's
your-
changed. Okay, well, like Eastern European, Jewish, West African, Japanese. And then they changed the Japanese to Iran. I go, well, it matches.
Okay.
It rhymes, and then.
So basically mongrel.
Yeah, because the thing is that only goes back 5 generations, which
Right.
is probably my parents,
Right. But within any of these denominations is all of history's pain.
Absolutely, it's
And sometimes
absolutely.
it's helpful to know where the pain before our time, which we inherited, came from.
No, and that's why, I go, I want to know more, but then I realized my father was in the army in World War II. He was at the Liberation Dachau, so he hated any form of nationalism, and he'd even drink. There was a Nazi. He wasn't so Nazi, but so they get drunk once a year, put up a Confederate flag. He'd fuck you up though. But he was like that. So and I was brought up Unitarian, so it was. I didn't even know what fucking gender was.
Yeah.
Which retroactively now, retrovirus, it's good.
Retroactively not knowing what gender is.
They were so hip without knowing they were hip.
Because
which made it hipper.
Unitarian is very separate. It's almost like the most kind of it's the most non-denominational of
Yeah,
any
absolutely.
non-religion. It's not really even a religion. It's just kind of an organization.
Yeah,
of,
and it was for like mongrels. It was
Right.
originally for mixed,
Right.
and I went through a phase especially after my father passed and my mom 7 months later, wanting to know. And then all of a sudden, my last name you see in maybe Caracas, which means it could be anybody because it's a lot of mix. So,
What do you feel
what do I feel?
inside of you as a
I'm-
citizen of this fucking corrupt planet? Do you
I'm
just feel connected to a lot of different outside
and
outside nationalities, peoples, wanderers, nomads?
yeah, I mean, I've never. And my mother used to say, who was dark. She said she never felt white, whatever that
Right.
fucking means.
Right.
But I don't think any of us feel that really. I maybe we.
I
prescribe
would
to
rather not. I would rather not commit to the concept of being 100% white
that.
as half Sicilian.
Exactly.
And who knows what else?
Exactly. Yeah, it was a kid like look Italian, you look Latin.
Yeah,
Could
you
be
look Puerto
Jewish.
Rican,
Yeah,
could be
yeah,
Jewish,
yeah,
you could be
yeah.
Polish. I mean, you could be Russian, you could be Polish, but whatever.
Yeah,
Well, you know what?
absolutely.
There's a little bit of all of it in all of us,
Absolutely.
because hello, we're all mongrels.
Absolutely.
So
And
look,
thank God for that.
we're all mongrels. And let's start with what the most recent thing was, which is amazing again, this circular thing that Beth B produced this play, musical that you did in
Yes.
Europe. So tell me a little about that. How did that even come about?
Okay, that was supposed to be originally 2019, whenever the pandemic was. it had gotten, because me and Paul said forever, I want to
Paul-
do musical.
Paul-
Paul Walfish.
Right.
And
Good friend of Keckler's is also. We
Yeah.
gotta get it on, gotta get it
And,
straight, honey.
Paul and I have been working together like 25 years or something.
What else is Paul known for? 'Cause he's been
Well,
around
he
again
was
for a long time.
Botanica, he was
Rock
Love
Botanica
and
was great.
Rockets, Johnny Halliday. Go figure. Go figure.
I can't even put my mind around it, but go ahead.
And yeah, my tour husband. In the meantime, he met Beth, who I didn't really know. I mean, I heard of her through you.
For many years.
Yeah, and
decades.
Bill Rice.
So
once again,
you,
love you.
I love
had-
Bill Rice.
yeah,
Yeah, he loved me. Bill Rice, who was a New York very alternative actor in the
So
70s.
handsome.
Oh my God, he was
Oh.
amazing. Who was in quite a few of Beth and Scott B's films, including some with me.
Yep.
So you knew Bill Rice, but at the time, I mean, you weren't really part of the Beth B circle.
No, not at all. I mean, not, but then Bill wasn't either. But
Right, until the
um,
film started being
but I
made.
had my little bit of acting, which is a little bit. I did mainly with Bill was in everything.
So what plays in New York?
Yeah,
like
plays
off,
like
off,
La
off?
Mamas, yeah.
Right, well, okay.
And PS 122. And I remember with Bill, we found like, I used to call it the Sound of Music exit from the Mama, because you go through the basement. Because some of these plays were so long, you go out and have a drink and it's like pizza, and come back. And I go to Bill, I don't understand this. He goes, it doesn't matter, you don't need to. I met Bill in the boiler room.
Bill Rice was an absolutely underrated underground hero that went on for decades, and he was kind of a human Sharpay. He was so beautiful.
Oh my God, that's what you're saying. You know what I mean? I think it was the first time I had martinis as an adult, apart from picking the onions and stuff out of my parents. And I think it was Christmas Eve, I had like 6 or 7. And I go, well, yeah, sure.
Oh,
You're the most handsome man I've had.
And he was who knows how much older than everybody else, but it didn't matter. He was so elegant and so
So
cool,
elegant.
so sweet. So, all right, anyway, you're doing plays at La Mama at that point.
Yeah, and that's where, yeah, I'm gonna do a musical. Because I always did want to write them, and I always go back to
Well, I
West
mean,
Side Story.
part of what you do, I mean, you are a chanteuse.
Yeah, and I
That's really a
love those-
big part of what your creative elements
I
is.
love the strong melodies.
So anyway, Beth, so how did Beth approach, or how did that come about with Paul and
Well,
Beth
man,
and all
I
that?
think it was at Phil from the Swan's wedding, you know, which he was at, and he said, Beth, and I just seen your documentary, which
The war's never over.
Yeah,
Beth did a great job.
it's beautiful. And I said, sure. And this is where it kind of, I only use like my life to talk about the culture at the time, the moment. I never wanted to be about me, ever, you know, because, you know.
So you're having a broader scale of the scope
Yeah.
of your trauma within modern history.
You know, exactly, like I dated a guy for a while in New York, and I wrote a poem about him, the Cuban. He was waiting for Castro to die, and the punchline was, "Oh, well, Castro beaches, you got you again. But the thing was, it was a way to write about that, not about my
Right.
because I never want to use
That's
my
that's
work
the,
as therapy.
that's the difference with what we do, because I use my work as not only my own, I use my work as not only my own public psychotherapy, but for the public psychotherapy of others.
Mhm.
Because my
Which-
situation is not so unique. I know that. And therefore it gave me the strength and voice to do that.
Well, what you just said, and I realized that because it was tough last summer. For one, I'm not an actress. I learned in 7 days or less, you know.
You learned the
how to be
play.
an actress. But
So was it a musical, a play, or a play with music in it?
it was playing.
What was the title of it?
It was 52 Jokers because I'm a
52
I'm a
Jokers.
card player. But
Oh, don't challenge me. Go
yeah, I'm
ahead.
a card player. I love playing cards.
Are you a gambler? Oh, you play
Horrendously
cards.
So. I mean, and that's why I don't. That's why I don't gamble because.
I'm locking you in the
I think
house
so.
tonight, honey.
Yeah, we are still playing cards, girl. We're still playing cards, but and it's funny. I was just saying to
Weasel.
and the most
Kevin.
symmetrical drummer in the world. That face, that's so rare in visually, but.
Kevin Shays' face is being dissected on the lineage spin because he's just so
Yeah,
damn handsome. He can't
but
help
it's
it.
rare, like no, because
He
like,
plays like he looks.
Yeah, yes, you do.
Brutally beautiful.
Yes, you do. And
He's laughing, but we know he loves it.
What you just said, thank you, because it actually was brought up to me, because to me it was too, like, you know, my pain is like everybody's had, every person on the
Well,
planet
that
has a
pain is the most universal fucking feeling.
But to me, the pain, I'm always, the money shot of everything is, I get a song or I get a punchline. So to me, humor. And it was hard. I kind of had my humor a little bit.
Well, it's interesting because you said you saw a lot of humor in the Retrovirus show last night, which I agree
I
there
do.
is,
It's so
because
funny.
I thank you. I mean, I don't like it to go vaudeville thing, you Weasel Walter. I like it to go burlesque, but there is a bit of humor because there has to be.
You know, and also humor to me is
The self.
it's truth, and that's why it's funny, because it's pain and it's a way of dealing. And to me, humor, especially these days, fuck, I wouldn't want to be a comedian. Actually,
Well,
you said I wouldn't want to be
look,
famous. I wouldn't want to be anybody.
Honey, I'm stand-up tragedy. It's what we do. But anyway,
Absolutely, but all comedy would.
I think I'm funny as fuck.
Yeah, no, I think you are.
And you get it.
No,
Why
I get
you
it.
know I'm funny is you get it.
No, I get it. Like, and I wrote it in this. I just written a new play. It might be bad. It might be great. But I said about the what is it? Comedy, the equation of tragedy plus comedy was comedy. But what if you reverse it? What if there's no time? But the thing is, comedy to me is funny because it's brutal. It's a way of expressing.
When comedy is brutal,
The
it's the best.
unexpressible.
Right, exactly. I love Maria Bamford. You know, her Weakness is the new brand. I mean, she's just
I gotta
amazing.
check that. You know,
She's really great. But anyway, all right. So this play just happened last summer.
that's from.
How many shows did you do?
We did, well, we were there forever. We were there all summer, but it was let's see,
Hamburg?
four shows in Hamburg.
Hamburg,
I come
oh, that's so great. That place
love
is
that
great.
place. I love it.
Played there a
And
few
that
times.
actually, they held me up. They really did, because I was going into a dark night of the soul with the whole,
Once again,
yeah, again. And
How
I'm like,
many
how
nights-
many
how
times?
many
How many
days?
times?
how many days have you had the Dark Night of the Soul? We don't even
A
know.
whole lot.
Hello.
And then we did Groningen in Berlin, and we went back in Vienna in
Oh,
January.
And what did you take from it that either really worked or, I mean, did it reinvigorate your need to perform live?
Well, it made me realize the potential of theater. So that's why I wrote this theater piece, which again, it's kind of juvenile, the humor, but because it's about we're all boxed in, so we're babies, you know. But
Trust me, I know a lot of infants.
yeah,
And that's why I'm Big Mama Lunch.
you're wonderful, Mama Lunch.
Well, thank you, little baby. Little
Yeah.
baby Annie, little Annie, little baby Annie.
You've always been so. You know what? Okay, I'm gonna say it.
Go
publicly.
ahead.
This woman, when nobody, and trust, I was born 20 minutes outside the center of Manhattan. Might have been 20 million fucking
It could have been on
miles away.
Jupiter.
You know, and you come with that working class chip on your shoulder, which never quite sleeves, you know, and you.
I come with the non-working class.
But you were always so hanged and
Oh,
cool.
blowing my cool.
But you, all
Yeah,
right,
well,
I'm
you know
gonna blow
what?
it up.
Look, Annie, I'm paid to be cruel. I don't like to do it in my private
No,
time.
but cool. You know that you always.
I don't like to do.
You never
pay-
made me feel less than. Which, honestly, that's you know the film Saturday Night Fever, which when it came out, I go, oh fuck this shit. But it was my fucking life, you know. That there's such a truth to that, and it's easy to feel less than in this world. You never made me feel less
Well,
than.
I mean, look, my goal with other collaborators or other artists is I want to work with people that I can help to encourage me exactly what they are and the best they
But
can
you always
be. I
have.
mean, and you know, because I have the rest of the world to fucking pick on.
Amen.
You know what I mean? I'm not
I'll
gonna
give you my
pick on.
lawyer's number. You want to fuck her up with trust?
I'm not picking on fucking people I want to work with or other musicians. My goal is bigger.
No, but you always.
I didn't realize I
So-
was such a sweetie.
You were such a sweetie, and
Oh my God.
always been,
Blowing my cool.
always been. You know, and the whole thing wasn't when there's this whole romance about New York in the 70s. I go, it was fucking brutal. It was like,
Well, no,
fuck you,
our
New York.
reality was brutal,
It was brutal. And
but that didn't mean we had to be brutal to each
no,
other.
no, but some people were in, and now, you know, because hopefully I'm older and wiser, but you know that.
We're certainly older, we gotta be wiser.
Everybody was probably insecure, you know.
Well, I have to say I was never once insecure. but
No,
that's,
you weren't, because and your kindness was able to flourish. So
It did
some-
alienate me from quite a few of the older men because they were terrified, but that's another story anyway.
well, no, keep them.
The older they were, the less they were terrified. Hello.
Ain't that something?
I
Ain't
do.
that
Oh,
something?
yeah. But also, shy men are usually not intimidated because maybe they know I could be their defenders. It's the macho motherfuckers that have a problem.
No, but that's what I see in everything now is the more the front, the more fragile. So fucking fragile. Which
I was saying this the other day. Not only are men fragile, their fucking nutsacks are really fragile. And hello, Big Lou's coming to town. I've never heard Tim Dahl talk less in his life, but he can't get a
Well,
word in edgewise.
you guys
Hell
are
no.
filling up so much space, and I'm enjoying it. I'm the sideline.
Go ahead, Tim. You got anything to say, motherfucker? By the way, I love Tim Dahl, amazing musician, one of my dearest friends. We
Love
share
you
a
to
real
Tim
close
Dahl.
bond from the minute we met.
Yes.
Go ahead, Tim.
Yes, of course. So, hold on.
Tim, are you in bed?
Of course he is. He didn't get home
Yeah,
till
I'm
late
Just
at
just-
night.
an accusation, just an observation.
He looks
Oh, no,
good
why-
in bed.
why-
I don't know
why
why
not?
we're
Why
both
not?
not in bed with him.
No, yeah, let's go to bed.
Ah,
We were all if we were both in bed with him, Jesus motherfucking Christ. I mean, he's a man, but how big a man? How big a honey?
God, ladies. Jeez.
Calm down.
Did I miss this? When did you move to Miami? What
What's
year?
that,
When did you
mother?
move to Miami?
I
What year
moved to
did you move
Miami, about 8.5 years ago.
Okay.
I don't know why.
You
Yeah,
don't know
I
why?
don't know why. I always said when I moved back to this country in the 90s, I go, if I ever leave New York, it's going to be New Orleans. I must have had a dream. We had to leave New York at the time, not leave New York, but the apartment. And I was touring a lot. And I come back, and every time I was like, oh, this is gone, and this is gone, and this is gone. And I didn't want to be one of those bitter old folk just going, it used to be better. But I woke up one morning, I go, Miami. And it became a mission. And now I know why. I know why, but it took about 3 years. The first 3 years, I was like, why the fuck am I in Miami? Every day I was
Well,
like,
why the fuck are we
what
anywhere?
is
Yeah.
it? You know, but there's something that Bermuda Triangle magic. And
There's
ladies are
something about the Bermuda Triangle magic.
yeah, and it's the weirdest place. And I've been a lot of places.
It's
Weirdest
weird.
place on the whole fucking planet. It's so weird.
Well, on the continent, at least, it's fucking weird.
It's really
But
weird.
honey, you got a beautiful apartment and great
Right
view.
with that. So
It's
January
really-
anyway.
It's so the antithesis of the life we had all lived. It's immaculate. It's white. It's got a view of the bay, and you deserve it.
And they have closets. I mean,
And they have closets.
I mean, New York.
We got
I've lived
closets.
in
I got a
closets.
few boys right here. I'd like to stick in the closet. See what happens next.
But no,
You're in bed. What do you know?
but I love it. My dream is actually to, which is more complicated now. The
Okay.
world gets more complicated. Is to live nowhere. I mean, I even thought of giving up painting. If I don't paint, could have so much.
Do you have shows with your paintings?
Somebody's coming down here in. I did show in New York a bunch of times. The first
Where
time
are we
I
showing there?
the last time I showed was Gavin Brown Gallery.
Where's that?
It
Lower
was
East Side, or-
yeah, Soho. The only time I never sold, and it's fancy ass
Oh,
gallery.
right, of course. Hello.
Never sold.
Cocksucker.
But I've been painting my ass off down here, which is
So what does painting offer you that is very different than music? Because it's just, I know, look, I do photography. It's a very different thing. A very different thing.
You know what it with painting? I thank God when I was with Atco Sachs for like 4 minutes, and they wouldn't let me work. They go, "Oh, you're gonna be Madonna?" I don't go. I don't want to be Madonna, but they wouldn't. And I started painting.
There are things I'd like to do to her that I cannot announce right now. But
like-
go ahead.
Yeah, like I you know. So my second husband, I had a lot of husbands. He had
How many husbands, how
paintbrush.
many divorces? Not enough yet. You're still young, honey.
Three.
Well, maybe the fourth will be the winner.
Yeah,
Instead of the
yeah, right.
How many were the winners? How many were don't answer.
I'm not gonna. He had great brushes. His uncle had worked for St. Martin's School of Design. So I had these brushes, and I go, I got to do those, and I'll do like whenever you give me a cutting board, I'm gonna cut, you know. And But I really started painting, honestly, I think 98. And
Because you gotta have more than one discipline if you're as
absolutely,
if you're
right,
like us.
because otherwise you start painting
Right.
yourself, cutting yourself, you know, it's.
Hello,
And-
I've avoided that, but I hear what you're
But-
saying. Exactly.
and you know, it's like people go, is it therapeutic? I go, hell no, it's work. It's like work, hard, sweaty work. But what I love about painting is I don't have to get a studio. I don't
Right.
have to get a record company to fucking
It's very
sign on.
onanistic.
Don't need nobody else. I could just, as long as I got paper.
Paper, pen, brush,
Yeah.
whatever.
But, I mean, that whole closet's full of art stuff. That's the only
I'm
thing.
going in the closet.
We're
Forget-
going
I'm not
in the
putting-
closet.
I'm not putting the boys in. I'm going in. Going deep.
In the closet. But what I love about it is that you could be immediate, but
Right, and even though a painting might not compose itself within one day,
no,
but,
and they
but
really
you're
don't.
seeing something immediately. And often if you're recording something or planning a play, or it takes so much
So
other people,
you
preparation,
need
time.
so much input, and like, do like it,
And
do
it's a
like it,
relief. Look, photography to me is a relief. Montaging is a relief
Mm.
to me. Well, writing is a relief to me because it involves no one else. And as much as I love to create with other people, of
Oh,
course,
absolutely.
I will not disavow that. But look, we got a lot of hours in the day and we got a lot of energy. We're gonna do something to fill it other than killing other people or ourselves.
No, and it's
I'm not
and
suicidal.
it's like
Don't give me the list, Annie.
but
Give me that list of those that need to go. No,
I mean,
too long.
and also the thing, like sometimes and it's like synapses. When I came to Miami, it was like boom, 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 and I painted differently. And because again, I don't know what I'm doing, but then I go.
Well,
sometimes-
you're an automatic artist.
Yeah,
In the
no,
painting.
but it's the immediacy, but also the discipline of, like, if I don't paint for a couple weeks, like if I'm singing, I'm not painting, and I just go, what am I painting with my fucking feet with flippers? It's so bad.
Sometimes you're painting with your lips,
Your
your
lip.
tongue.
Absolutely.
Paint them with your mouth.
Absolutely.
Paint that picture with your mouth, baby.
Absolutely. and but what it's taught me is I go, okay, like, because I used to be like Van Gogh, I'd be really dramatic.
Well,
I'd
you used to be
stab
like
the
what?
fucking-
You used to be like
stab
Van
it,
Gogh.
stab- And now I'm like, bitch, you can't be objective. You just keep doing it, even when it's like really unpleasant, and which it is. Like you stop for a couple of days, it's like your hands forget, especially
I like
this
muscle
fucking-
memory
Yeah.
withers.
Yeah, and you know,
Well, painting is the one thing other than apartments, which I've painted almost everyone I've ever lived in.
how low?
I have not. Hello.
Fine.
We paint, but I have never taken up painting as an art form. I was like, well, it might be the last frontier. I mean, I've done sculptures, I've done voodoo dolls, I've done montages, photography, but like painting, in a sense, I'm so prejudiced against most painting, and I'm in like in the Caravaggio and Bellini and
How
you know,
low.
and et cetera.
Mm.
And I know I can't paint like that, but I see a lot of this abstract crap, and I'm like, oh my, give me a fucking,
No,
give me a paintbrush on my ass, I'll do a better job.
I love what you just said, because
Could be coming in the vision.
the thing with like abstract, like, and it's with music and everything. I don't like to be made feel stupid, nor do I like art which makes me feel stupid. And my mother, God rest her
Well,
beautiful
say-
soul.
I'm just gonna repeat. I don't like art that makes me feel stupid, or that the
No.
idiot who created it was
Take-
fucking stupid.
take-
Hello.
And the thing with like a Lawn Monroe, like, you motherfuckers, what, you're 12 years
And
old?
then we can stick paintbrushes up our ass and do better than most of these motherfucking
Absolutely.
clowns. I'm just saying.
You know, like,
Jesus, that could be a performance.
that's it,
but it
right
ain't-
there, there we
it-
go,
it
on the
ain't-
road,
it ain't-
on the road.
In the early 70s, we're not gonna do it.
But like Van Gogh, I grew up with that stupid fucking sunflower mural. And then
You know who my least favorite artist is?
and
Jackson Pollock, because of this reason. I really admire what he did to crack the code of what art was.
Yes.
But I hate those fucking paintings. And I'm like, you know what? I would shit that in my sleep with a fucking enema of coffee, orange juice, and apples. Fuck my motherfucker. Just saying.
No, but you know what? I think that's probably was his intention.
Well, which I respect.
You know, and
I respect the concept. I don't even like the
But-
fucking result.
like with Van Gogh, I mean, also, I think it was starting
I'll
right.
bite off your ear at any moment. No biggie.
No, with
They
like,
look like little potato chips. to
they
me,
right
honey,
with my little.
that come up.
But Van Gogh, it was like Starry Night also. I go, oh my God, everything's
Yeah, you
alive.
paint something that
Everything's alive.
you paint something
It's
that
so
that, and then it
beautiful.
only takes you like 100 years after your death for it to sell for $100
He
million.
never sold one painting. And and he was the guy you would walk across the street to avoid. And
Well,
so
because he was
beautiful.
probably a motherfucking psychotic
But it was
asshole
because
who had no choice but to paint what he did.
absolutely, and which explains a lot of psychosis, because if you actually see life for what it is so
Psychotic.
and moving, intent. Everything's alive, and that's what Florida gives me. I go, fuck, everything's alive. Everything's always
Everything
moving.
is allowed. Now, Annie, what have you not done yet that you want to do? Like, do you think any of your recordings, and you've been so diverse in your creations, like what, for instance, is your favorite that you have done?
Oh.
And then what from now would be something that you actually want to do next musically?
Okay, my favorite I've done.
Right, at this point.
Uh,
Because you work with Soft Cell, right? You work with Crash, you work with so many people.
Market,
Also, you did like,
Swans and Wolfgang. I've collaborated, because I, if I could come back, I would love to play piano, but I don't.
well, you're here still, and there's still time, but go ahead.
Yeah, and there's a piano in the lobby, but
Hello, imagine that. Annie will be performing in the lobby of her own building tonight at 8 o'clock.
what
$20.
So, and I was just saying before that I'm never satisfied with it, and if I get satisfied, I probably won't have to do it. What
You
I
know
would
what? You should be.
Mm.
Maybe I
Yeah.
can help you with that.
Yeah, and then no, we need that, doctor. We need it.
Doctor, give me the cue. I got a bad case of loving you now.
I would love to do like a
I mean, I
really
consider
great
you a
jazz
Shan
album.
James. I
would love to
consider
do
you
great
a
jazz
Shan
albums.
James. I do.
And I would love to do more cover out. I love
I did
lyrics.
a lot of cover songs.
Yeah, I love
All right,
covering.
what cover song would you really like to do next?
Okay, the next one. Oh my
Maybe we'll sing
God.
it together right now. Who knows?
Actually, you know what I would love to do?
Tell me.
I would love to do. I studied Frank Sinatra because he was most misunderstood. He only became right wing
Well,
because the Kennedys hurt his feeling. He was on the communist watch list.
well,
I would love
as
to.
a short Italian, he made a lot of the most of the least of what he had. But go ahead.
No, he really did. But there's something about his phrase.
So
I would love. I love to write not quite
What
opera.
about cover
but-
a whole Frank Sinatra album?
Yes,
You
no,
were
that's
doing
what-
better
that-
than he did
I would
himself.
do-
All
I only
right.
got the name for May I call me Frank. May I be Frank?
Would you like to give us a little couple of bars right now?
I got the world on its string.
I'm a puppet, a prophet, a
Yeah,
poet.
but- No,
Jesus Christ.
and I love it, and I would love. Oh my God!
I'll play Ava Gardner. You can play Frank Sinatra.
Amen. Oh, wow, no, it was the gun to his head, but he was very vulnerable. But also, I love to write something that I'm actually. Okay, I want to work with Tom Waits. Now this is
Well,
a
all
dream
right.
team.
Because you know what? I was just thinking of my favorite Tom Waits song. Falling on down Virginia.
When I moved to
Chinatown,
when I moved to Chelsea, he was one because
These boys don't know. They think he's just an old fucking fraud, born old. But you know what? I'm going to tell you.
I love
I
him.
saw him when I was 14.
I love
What's one of your favorite songs? I love
Burbage breaks my
Virginia Avenue, and I
Oh,
also
yes.
love the double album, the live album.
You know that he was because when
Look,
I
young ladies love the old man Tom Waits. Born old.
no, I had such a big ass crush on Tom.
Halo.
And when my stuff got thrown onto 23rd Street, I thought he was a homeless guy. Just put some shoes on.
Well,
I go, shut the fuck up, homeless guy.
Wait, he told you to put shoes on?
Yeah, I knew.
A homeless bum, Tom Waits tells you to put
But
shoes
this-
on. Another homeless bum.
And he's so like true to himself.
You get him or you don't. You don't have to like. But you know what? When you like him, you get it.
No, I remember he like did the Beacon Theater or something,
Oh.
and he was in the donut shop on 7th Avenue. You remember that on the corner? I'm like, Tom, why didn't you? I don't know. No, he didn't like.
I
he's such
covered.
an artist.
I covered Heart Attack and Vine.
Oh, I love
I
Oh
thought
my
you
God.
would. Hello, I thought you would with Nels Klein, Carla Boston.
I love that.
I thought you would.
I mean, honestly, there's one artist. Okay, Leonard Bernstein said, but Tom, and he's so real. And another kind of soul. The real thing.
And you know what? his wife actually
Kathy.
made him more interesting
That's
because he had reached the peak of what old manness,
yeah.
and she brought the weird.
No, I haven't met her, but when I was in Hamburg,
Well, I don't know. He must know us, but he hasn't approached us.
no,
I
haven't
think we
seen her
need
forever.
to cover it some way.
I think we got to come some
Forget about it.
I
I don't
think
know
Tom
who's
is
going to be more
Tom.
Tom than Tom, but we got it covered. Anyway, this is the Lydian swim. Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, quietest he's ever been. I kind of enjoyed that shit. But we dominated. That will be Little Annie and Big Lou Lydia Lunch.
We love you.
Episode number 221. Closing out on this. That's all I need to know.
How much fun? How much motherfucking fun? I love.
Take a nap, Tim Dahl. Take a nap.
God bless. Love. Ow.